This has been one of the videos that I've been looking forward to do it actually, because intestinal problems are increasingly becoming more and more common. Only about 20 years ago, not even half of the people had any of these kind of problems as they do today. So why is there such a drastic increment in the gut related problems? Today, more and more people have gut-related problems such as inflammation, irritation, digestion problems, diarrhea, constipation, lack of gut flora. With the gut flora, the more we research this topic, the more we come to understand the importance of the microorganisms in our health and the importance of these organisms. So there are other factors that need to be considered, such as the eating habits, stress management, lifestyle and habits, etc., etc. But for this video, we're going to see how doing a colon cleanse can actually help you to balance the function of your digestion system. Nutrient absorption, toxic elimination, parasite elimination, and fungus elimination. And those that should do a colon cleanse and those that shouldn't do one. So the more we come to understand about our digestion system, we've discovered how the first signs of problems in our digestion system are things like the lack of energy, intestinal permeability, autoimmune responses, and premature aging. Among these, the alteration of the gut flora are going to affect the function of the immune system and the regulation of hormones. This will naturally affect the lack of absorption of the nutrients, and in the long term, this takes us to become nutritional deficient and the accumulation of the toxins within the body. These are the two main variables that produce a chronic disease. Therefore, if I have a colon problem, I will have a higher tendency to accumulate parasites and candida in my digestion system. One of the signs that's associated with intestinal dysfunction, which is mainly happens in the large intestine, but can also happen in the small intestine, are often things like lumbar pain. Your intestines, both the large and the small, are held in place in your abdominal cavity thanks to tissues called the meso and the fascia, and these tissues are essential for the arrival of blood, lymph fluid, and many other things. But because these are attached to the lumbar area and on the posterior wall of the abdominal cavity, whenever we tend to have intestinal inflammation, it tenses up and it pushes forward on this tissue. So one of the big signs that can be clearly perceived is the inflammation of this area, and obviously the lumbar pain that's associated with this inflammation, which in the moment, whenever we have intestinal inflammation and we're able to reduce this inflammation, the lumbar pain will disappear. Colon dysfunction can give problems with the inability to focus, headaches, and even mood swings. These are signs that are widely known even in ancient times. But of course, the amount of information we have today, it's incredibly more, and it tells us how the intestinal inflammation can change our gut flora, which can change your mood and over time create emotional problems, which shows us the connection over the brain and our gut. So before we dive in further, why do specialists criticize colon cleansing? The colon, or the large intestine, like many other parts of our digestion system, they clean up by themselves. So that means that it gets rid of those dead cells from the gastric mucus, which is the part that's in contact with the food or the gut flora. And it gets rid of these cells and it becomes clean. And this is real. It does happen in our digestion system every day. In fact, our digestion changes our gastric mucus approximately every 4 days, just like we get a new skeleton every 7 years or so. But this is only half the truth, because it's not enough to let our body clean for itself. And that's because it's important to keep in mind that these organs cannot keep up with the elimination of toxins due to the amount of toxins that enter our bodies in comparison to the past decades. So we have so much more pollution today, both the air as well as in our foods. So your colon could eliminate all of your toxins if you had a perfect diet, a perfect gut flora, but that's not the case, or my case. And this is where the colon cleanse comes in perfectly. This is where it fits in perfectly. So how can we correctly do a colon cleanse? Although they sell kits for doing colon cleanses at home, if you have no experience doing this, consider going to a specialized center where the equipment and installation makes it so much more efficient and safe. With the DIY system for the at home, this will be more of an enema, and it works by retaining that water inside of the sigmoid colon, which is the last section of the large intestine. This makes it a bit uncomfortable than doing a colonics at a specialized center. For colonics, it's often done at with specialized equipment, in which is constantly irrigating the colon with warm water, allowing the sigmoid colon to contract the large intestine. And these contractions inside the intestine allow us to eliminate the waste that was not properly digested or that got stuck to the walls of the colon. And this often happens where the intestine is unable to properly dispose of this fecal matter. And this is one of the biggest benefits that colonics has to offer than any other type of cleanse. And that's exactly because disposing of these old fecal matter that got stuck on the walls and in the intestine causes chronic diseases and even cancer in some cases, therefore helping you to prevent any sort of these long-term issues. While there may be lots of research in this specific area, in practice it's been observed that doing an annual colonics or this kind of cleanse helps you to prevent any colon cancer in the majority of the population. Now, if I want to do a colon cleanse, is this the only method to do a colon cleanse? And that will be a no, absolutely not. There are other methods, but this is by far one of the best methods. There are other options related to nutrition and eating habits. So if I don't want to do an enema or colonics, how can I clean the colon? So while it may be more superficial, the first method is by drinking several green juices on a daily basis for around a month, and this can help you achieve that. You can make these juices preferably on a slow juicer, or if you don't have it, using your blender, it can also help you get started. And you can add leafy greens and vegetables. Most people often add fruit to this mix, but it's not recommended. These juices provide you with the fiber and other nutrients to accelerate the intestinal movement. Whenever we better our microclimate of the intestinal system by changing the pH with these juices, it helps us to generate better gut flora and lower the inflammation of the intestines, causing it to create a peristalsis, meaning the movement or the contraction of the intestine. However, it is worth mentioning that this method allows us to clean, but it does not have that extra added benefit of helping to remove old fecal matter that got stuck to the walls of the intestine, something that can be done with the colonics. The second part, we have the foods that are very rich in fiber, and this helps the body to lower the total density of the fecal matter as a result of helping you eliminate the toxins a lot easier. One of the aspects with your digestion system compared to that of a primate, which are a lot more capable of extracting nutrients from fibers. In our case, we are less capable of doing such things when we consume extensively, and can create this bloating when we have this amount of fiber. But it will be important for you to test how much you're able to tolerate to see if you can increase that amount of insoluble fiber and see if it creates any bloating. If you get any bloating, then that will not be the path for you to follow. The third aspect that we have is the restoration of the gut flora, both with the pre and probiotics, and this will help you to better the microclimate of the bacteria that's in your colon, and thus helping you to eliminate the greater amount of toxins, eliminate candida and parasites if you have any, and normalizing the frequency with which you go to the bathroom. Sadly, today it's not as easy as simply saying that drinking probiotics and that will be the one thing that will solve all the issues. Obviously, this is not the way we should take things because it depends on the type of bacteria that your gut normally has. So if you don't know what kind of bacteria you have, it's better to start with prebiotics to repair and repopulate the gut flora that you need the most. This can be accomplished by incorporating soluble fibers like psyllium, which is a seed and it should be grounded before the consumption. But you can also ground chia seeds or baobab, which is a soluble fiber to help you and slowly better your gut flora and this microclimate within your system. After some time, you can begin to incorporate probiotics to better this whole ecosystem with better bacteria that is going to help you and reduce the possibility of having candida, and lastly, normalizing the frequency with which you go to the bathroom. With this, you can include aloe vera, chlorophyll, and allow you to cleanse better your colon. So when should I do a colon cleanse? If I'm not sick or I don't have any issues, doing it once a year would be more than enough. But if I have any digestion problems or inflammation, it would be a good idea to utilize this method with more frequency until you figure out what created that imbalance. It's extremely important that once you've done a colon cleanse, and this applies to both the person that's doing it because they have digestion issues or those that are simply doing it for long-term prevention, and that is to repopulate the gut flora with probiotics. The reason why, it's because once we do a colon cleanse, we flush everything out in our gut, and that includes our gut flora. Therefore, it's important not to do this frequently because we will lose our gut flora every single time. So every time you do a cleanse, repopulate with probiotics and also with a healthy diet that supports this. So can we combine this cleanse with another kind of cleanse? The answer is yes. It's actually really helpful to always include a colon cleanse at the end of multiple ones. And that way you can eliminate all these toxins because they could become stuck in the large intestine and you won't be able to get rid of them. For example, a good way of prevention, if you don't have any candida symptoms, once a year you can do multiple cleanses in this order by starting with deworming, a liver cleanse, and a colon cleanse. Now, who shouldn't do a colon cleanse? There isn't a tool that helps us do everything. And it's also the case with these cleanses. Every person has their own balance and their own tendencies, which makes it very difficult to have a model that fits just everyone. For some people, doing intermittent fasting will work perfectly and lose lots of fat, while for others, they won't lose an ounce of fat. And many times this can be due to a hormonal imbalance, which makes them have a greater amount of body fat and is not able to process that insulin. There are even people that do intermittent fasting and think that they can eat whatever they want and end up hurting their own body instead of making themselves responsible for the real problem, which is their eating habits. So the same thing happens with a colon cleanse. So who are those that should not do a colon cleanse? First, the people that already have a healthy gut flora, meaning someone that already went through the process of cleaning and have replenished and restored their gut flora. Because if you remember from the beginning of the video, a cleanse washes out the gut flora from your intestines. So if you have done this, these type of cleanse is not for you, at least for now. The second type will be those that have an external block and not caused by intestinal flow. Perhaps it could be by a compression or a recent surgery. If this is your case, the peristalsis created due to the cleanse, meaning the contraction generated, can generate pain. Therefore, it's not recommended to do this. The third type of those that shouldn't do a cleanse are those that have a fistula, meaning an abnormal or a small tunnel between two organs, or a medical device that serves as a passageway to communicate some organ to the surface of the skin, and this is for obvious reasons. The fourth kind would be those that had a recent intestinal surgery, and I did mention these previously, but it deserves its own category as it's important to remember. In fifth place are those that have a problem that can prevent them from taking probiotics. And as you remember, this is very important because we must replenish our gut after every cleanse. And the reason why this is so important is because if you don't drink probiotics, you can generate an overgrowth of candida or parasites, especially if they are in the small intestines, which is a place where the colon cleanse does not reach, which will increase any digestion problems you already have. So for anyone else that are not included within these groups, you should be able to do a cleanse and enjoy of the benefits without any problems. Simply, if you have any more doubts, consult your own physician as they can clear more of this. And always remember that if you're going to do a colon cleanse, you should have a proper nutrition and prevent animal protein for at least 4 days prior of doing a cleanse, and also after doing a cleanse. That will allow you to harvest all of the benefits of the cleanse. And as a reminder, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe, because we'll be posting more videos like this one every week. Join us as we learn more and more about how to improve our lives and our health. Peace.